Hey everyone, let's dive into something we all struggle with, right? Time management. I know I do. My to-do list, well, sometimes it feels like it's a mile long.
Oh, tell me about it. We're all trying to figure that out, aren't we? How to squeeze more into our day.
Exactly. And that's actually what inspired today's deep dive. We listened to this podcast episode, and it was just packed with time management hacks. Like, seriously, I need all the tips and tricks I can get.
Well, it's a good thing you're here then, right? Because feeling overwhelmed by time, that's something, well, I think it's safe to say we all experience it.
For sure.
It's kind of a universal struggle. But the good news is even like small changes, they can have a huge impact.
Oh, like what? Give me an example.
Well, I mean, less stress.
Okay, I'm listening.
Increased efficiency, and maybe, just maybe, even some more free time for stuff that you actually want to do.
That sounds like a dream. But with so many different approaches, it can feel a bit overwhelming where to even begin.
Yeah, I get that. But honestly, sometimes the simplest methods, those are the most effective ones.
Okay, like what?
Like the 80-20 rule, you might know it as the Pareto principle.
I've heard of it.
And when you apply this to time management, it's all about letting go. Letting go of those things that just won't really move the needle.
So it's not just about working harder, but about working smarter.
You got it. It's about recognizing that 20% of your efforts are actually driving 80% of your results.
So it's about quality over quantity.
You got it. And think about it like, well, imagine you're studying for a big exam.
Okay.
You wouldn't try to memorize like every single word in the textbook, right?
No way.
You'd focus on the core concepts, the things that are actually going to be on the test.
Yeah, that makes a lot more sense.
Right. And that's where the 80-20 rule comes in. It's about prioritizing the thing that make a real difference.
So it's about impact, not just activity. I like that. So we've identified those high-impact tasks, but how do we actually fit them into our day? How do we structure things?
That's where time blocking comes in. It's like, well, it's more than just a to-do list. It's about assigning specific blocks of time for specific tasks, kind of like making appointments with yourself.
Yeah, I've tried scheduling before, but I always get sidetracked or things pop up. So does that mean I have to stick to a rigid plan no matter what?
Not at all. Life happens, right? Things come up. You got to be flexible.
So more like a flexible framework.
Exactly. Think of it like a roadmap. You have your destination in mind, but there might be detours along the way.
Okay, I can work at that. But what about those times when my focus starts to fade? How do we stay productive when you just feel mentally drained?
Well, for that, there's a technique called the Pomodoro technique.
Yeah, I've heard of that one. I've been meaning to try it.
It's all about working in focused bursts with built-in breaks.
Okay, I like the sound of that. Built-in breaks. Because I tend to just work and work and work, and then I hit a wall.
Yeah, and that's exactly what this technique is designed to prevent. It's based on the idea that our brains, well, they're not really meant for long periods of intense focus.
Interesting.
So by taking breaks, you're giving your brain a chance to recharge, reset, and come back even stronger.
So like hitting a reset button.
Exactly. The basic structure is 25 minutes of focused work, followed by a 5-minute break. And then you do that 4 times, and after the 4th, you take a longer break, maybe 20-30 minutes.
Gotcha. And during those breaks, what, should I be checking emails or doing more work?
No. The key is to step away from your work completely.
Okay.
Do something that helps you relax and recharge.
Like, give me some ideas.
Well, I mean, get up, you move around, stretch, listen to some music, meditate, go for a walk.
Oh, so it's about actually disconnecting.
Yeah, letting your brain unwind so you can come back feeling refreshed and ready to tackle the next round.
Okay, I'm starting to rethink my whole approach to breaks now. I usually just power through till I'm exhausted.
Yeah, and I think a lot of us do that, but incorporating breaks, it can actually make you more productive in the long run.
I can see that. So we've talked about maximizing focused work time and taking strategic breaks. What about all those little tasks, the ones that just seem to pile up and clutter our to-do lists? How do we handle those?
Well, for that, we have the 2-minute rule. And this one is, well, it's a game changer.
Okay, tell me more.
It's super simple. If a task takes less than 2 minutes to do, you do it right away.
Okay, so like what kind of things are you talking about?
Replying to a short email, washing a few dishes, filing a document, making the bed. You know, those little things that we often put off, but they can really add up.
Oh, I'm so guilty of that. Letting those little things pile up until they become a mountain.
Right, and then it feels overwhelming. But the 2-minute rule, it prevents that overwhelm.
By tackling them head on.
Exactly. You get them done quickly, and then they're off your mind.
I like it. Simple but effective. It's like a mini challenge throughout the day. Stay on top of things.
And you'd be surprised how much lighter you feel when you don't have all that mental clutter.
Okay, this is already making me rethink my to-do list. But let's be honest, in today's world, it's the distractions, right? They're everywhere.
Oh, absolutely. Social media, emails, all those notifications, it's a constant battle for our attention.
I know. I find myself getting sucked into social media all the time and checking email, even when I know there's nothing urgent. It's like I'm on autopilot or something.
I hear you. But there are things we can do, like one of the simplest but most effective. Turn off those notifications.
Yeah, you're right. It's like we're giving those apps permission to interrupt us whenever they want.
Exactly. Take back control of your time. And there are other things too, like using website blockers so you don't get sucked into time-wasting sites.
I've heard about those, like creating a virtual fence, right?
Exactly. And even just scheduling screen-free time.
We could all use a little more of that, right? A digital detox.
For sure. Even short breaks from technology can make a big difference, to your focus, your mental clarity.
So it's about being proactive.
Right. It's about setting boundaries with technology and creating a digital environment that works for you, not against you.
This is giving me so much to think about. I need to be more mindful of how I spend my time and energy.
That's a great takeaway. And remember, effective time management, it's not about becoming a robot.
Right.
It's about finding strategies that work for you and creating a system that helps you achieve your goals and, just live a more fulfilling life.
Love that. So it's personalized.
Exactly. A system that supports your needs and your priorities.
This has been so insightful. I'm feeling inspired to make some changes.
I'm glad to hear that. And before we move on, any final thoughts? Anything you really want to emphasize? I think the most important thing to remember is that, time management, it's not a destination. It's a journey.
True. There are days when I feel super productive and in control. And then there are days where I feel like I'm just barely keeping my head above water.
And that's totally normal. We all have those days.
So it's okay if it's not perfect.
Right. Be kind to yourself, celebrate the successes, learn from those days when things don't go as planned. Keep experimenting until you find what works for you.
I love that. Progress over perfection.
Exactly. And remember, time management, it's a skill. You can develop it, you can refine it over time. The more you practice, the better you become.
That's encouraging. So I just need to keep practicing, keep experimenting.
You got it. And the rewards are worth it. More balance, more focus, more fulfillment.
This has been an amazing start to our deep dive into time management.
Absolutely. Now let's take a moment to reflect on what we've learned, and then we'll dive into even more strategies in the next part of our deep dive.
Okay, so much good stuff already. I'm ready for more time management magic.
All right, well, we've laid the groundwork, right, with some really powerful techniques, but now let's talk about putting them into action. Like, remember that 80-20 rule we discussed?
Oh yeah, definitely.
How do we actually figure out which tasks are those high-impact ones?
Yeah, that's what I was wondering. It's easy to understand the concept, but applying it to my own to-do list, that's a whole other thing.
It's true. It takes a little bit of detective work, but it's so worth it. Think back, maybe over the past week or month. What were the things you did that really moved the needle? What gave you that sense of accomplishment?
Okay, so not just what feels urgent, but what actually makes a difference in the long run.
Exactly. It's so easy to get caught up in the urgent stuff, but is it really important? Think of it like building a house, right?
Okay, I like where this is going.
Those high-impact activities, those are your foundation. Get that right, and everything else becomes so much easier.
I love that. So any practical tips for actually doing this?
Well, sometimes the simplest way is the best way. Write down everything you're working on, everything you need to do. Don't overthink it, just to get it all out there.
Okay, a brain dump. Got it. Then what?
Then you get to prioritize. Look at each task and ask yourself, if I could only do 3 things on this list today, which would they be?
Ooh, I like that. That really forces you to focus.
Right. It makes you think about what really matters. And then once you've identified those top priorities, that's where time blocking comes in.
Perfect. So more on time blocking. I love the idea, but I worry about being too restricted. Like, what if I need to be spontaneous?
I get it. But time blocking, it's not about being rigid. It's about creating a framework.
More like a guideline.
Exactly, like a roadmap. It helps you prioritize, helps you make sure you're spending enough time on the things that matter. But it's flexible. Life happens, things come up, you adjust as needed.
That makes sense. But what if something totally unexpected pops up? Do I have to reschedule everything?
No, not necessarily. The key is just to be mindful, aware of how you're spending your time, even when things get a little crazy.
So if a meeting gets added last minute, I might need to shorten other blocks, but I'm still working within that framework.
Exactly. And, the more you do it, the better you get at it, at estimating how long things actually take.
Oh, that's so true. I'm terrible with that. I always think things will take less time than they do.
We all do that, but time blocking helps you get more realistic about your time, about how much you can actually get done. And honestly, you might find you actually get more done because you're working more efficiently.
It's like magic. Okay, I'm ready to try it. And what about the Pomodoro technique? I'm still really intrigued by that.
Oh yeah, it's a great one. Those focused bursts with the little breaks, it's really a game changer for staying focused. focused.
Yeah, it just seems so much more sustainable than trying to push through for hours on end.
It is. It works with your brain, not against it. Our brains, they just aren't wired for those long stretches of intense focus. So those breaks, they give your brain a chance to rest and recharge. And that actually leads to better focus in the long run.
Okay, I'm sold. So, practically speaking, what do I need?
A timer. You can use your phone, your computer, anything really. The key is sticking to that 25 minutes of work, 5 minutes of break structure, and then after 4 cycles, a longer break.
Okay, I can do that. But what about those breaks? Just sit and stare at the wall.
Definitely not. Get up, move around, stretch, listen to some music, anything to help you relax and recharge.
So, scrolling through social media, probably not the best choice.
Probably not. The goal is to give your brain a break from the screens, from mental stimulation.
Right, so choose something that's actually restful.
Exactly. And the beauty of this technique is that it's customizable. You can adjust the intervals to fit your needs. Find what works for you and go with it.
Okay, I'm ready to experiment. Now, how about those little tasks that always seem to pile up? How do we keep them from becoming a big problem?
Yes, the little things that can really drain you if you let them. That's where the 2-minute rule comes in. So simple, yet so effective.
Remind me how it works again.
If it takes less than 2 minutes, you do it right now.
So we're talking like replying to a short email, washing a few dishes, things like that.
You got it. They seem small, but they can really build up and overwhelm you.
Oh, absolutely. And then it feels like climbing a mountain to tackle them.
The 2-minute rule stops that from happening. Tackle them head on, get them done, they're off your mind.
I love it. It's like a proactive approach to decluttering, both my to-do list and my mind.
Exactly, and it keeps those little things from nagging at you in the back of your mind. You'll be surprised how much energy you free up that way.
It's like a constant stream of mini victories throughout the day.
Yes, and those can really build momentum. Okay, now let's talk about the big one, distractions.
Oh yeah, that's a tough one. It feels like they're everywhere.
True, but we have more control than we think. Remember those tips from the podcast we're deep diving into? Turning off notifications, using those website blockers, scheduling screen-free time? They work.
I've been so curious about those website blockers. They really work.
They can be amazingly effective, like putting up a virtual fence around your attention. And there are so many great apps out there now, all designed to help minimize distractions and keep you focused.
I'm going to have to check some of those out. You could all use a little digital detox, right?
For sure. It's so easy to get sucked into the constant information and stimulation, but it's so important to create space for focused work and, just for downtime.
It's about protecting our mental well-being too, isn't it?
Absolutely. Disconnecting, even for short periods, can make such a difference to your focus, your creativity, just your overall sense of calm.
I'm realizing I need to be way more proactive about my relationship with technology. It's too easy to let it take over without even realizing it.
It happens to all of us. The key is to be more mindful. Make conscious choices about how and when you engage with technology.
So not about avoiding it completely, but using it with intention. Setting those boundaries.
You got it. Find that balance that works for you, that supports your goals.
This is really eye-opening. I'm seeing how all these pieces fit together to create a more balanced, productive life.
I'm so glad to hear that. And remember, it's not about being perfect. It's about finding what works for you. Experiment, create a system that helps you achieve what you want to achieve, and just live a more fulfilling life.
Wow, I feel like we've covered so much already. I'm ready to take my time management skills to the next level. Any more secret weapons we can add to the arsenal?
You bet. We've been talking about managing time, but there's another piece to this puzzle.
Oh, what's that?
Energy management.
Energy management? I thought we were all about time.
Well, they kind of go hand in hand, right? Because our energy levels, they change throughout the day. And if you're trying to push through when you're drained, well, you're just not going to be as effective.
That's so true. Like, I know I'm way more focused in the morning, and then by the afternoon, I'm hitting that slump.
There you go. So the trick is to plan those demanding tasks for when you have the most energy. Like you said, you're a morning person, so front load your day with the stuff that needs your brain firing on all cylinders.
So it's about working with my natural rhythm, not against it.
Exactly. And then save the less demanding stuff like emails or admin tasks for when you have less energy.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. Like, create a personalized energy map for my day. I like that. Now, we touched on breaks before, but honestly, I still feel guilty taking them. Like, I should be working every minute, right?
Oh, I know that feeling. But breaks, they're not a luxury. They're essential. If you want to be productive and, well, sane, you need those breaks.
So how do I actually make sure I take them instead of just pushing through till I'm burned out?
Schedule them in.
Wait, seriously? Block off time for breaks in my calendar?
Absolutely. Even just for 5 or 10 minutes, having those designated times, it'll remind you to actually step away.
Okay, I can see that. And how should I spend those break times?
Do things that help you relax, really de-stress. Pet up, move, stretch, listen to music, meditate, or just close your eyes and breathe for a few minutes.
Oh, those are good ideas, like little mini vacations for your brain throughout the day.
You got it. And then when you get back to work, you'll be refreshed, recharged, ready to go. Okay, let's talk about something else that I know a lot of people struggle with.
What's that?
Delegation.
Oof, yeah. I'm terrible at that. I want to do everything myself.
I think a lot of us do. It feels easier to just do it than explain it to someone else. But trust me, delegation is key if you want to manage your time effectively. It lets you focus on your strengths, and it lets you leverage the talents of other people.
Okay, I'm listening. So how do I know what to delegate?
Think about the things that take up a lot of your time, but don't necessarily require your specific expertise.
So, for example, if I'm working on a big project, maybe I could delegate some of the research or admin tasks.
Exactly. Or if you're running a business, maybe social media management or bookkeeping, things like that.
That would free up so much time for me to focus on the things that only I can do.
See? And the more you delegate, the better you'll get at it. You'll become a more efficient leader, a more effective manager.
Okay, I'm adding delegate more to my list right now. Earlier we talked about technology being a big source of distractions.
Right.
But it can also be a really powerful tool for productivity if we use it right.
100%. It's all about how you use it. It can be a double-edged sword, for sure. It can distract us, but it can also streamline things, automate things, help us stay organized.
So how do we make technology work for us, not against us?
Be mindful. Pay attention to how you're using it. Is it helping you achieve your goals or just pulling you away from them?
Oh yeah, it's so easy to just mindlessly scroll or fall down those internet rabbit holes.
I know. But there are so many great apps and tools that can help us. Project management apps, calendar apps, note-taking apps, and of course those website blockers. It's like having a whole team of virtual assistants.
So much to explore. This has been such an amazing deep dive. I feel like I have a whole new perspective on time management.
I'm so glad to hear that. The biggest takeaway, it's not about working harder, it's about working smarter.
Right, about having the right strategies.
Exactly. And the best part, you don't have to wait to start making these changes. You can start today.
I love that. No more procrastination.
Right. The power to create a more productive, more fulfilling life, it's in your hands. Just take that first step.
Thank you so much for sharing all this wisdom with us. I feel energized and ready to take on my to-do list.
It was my pleasure. Now go out there and conquer your day.
And that's a wrap on this deep dive into time management. We hope you found it helpful. We'll see you next time on The Deep Dive.